It's that time of the month again, the March Makers Box Big Reveal. Stay tuned to see what I all do with the items in this month's box. For project one, I found this cute little drawer set at the Goodwill Bins. Initially, I passed it up, you guys, and then I turned around, I looked at it, and I thought, no, I can do something really cute with this. So I brought it home, and it's been in my stash for just a little bit. And when I saw Connie's paper, I knew right away that it was going to go on the front of these drawers. So for starters, I used white swan and I applied just one even coat of white swan to the entire front of the piece. I want to cover the image, but I also want my paper to pop. After that was all dry, I took Connie's paper, and you guys, is this not just the most beautiful image? I am using DIY's liquid patina, which is my go-to decoupage medium, and I'm applying just a nice even coat of the liquid patina to the front of this. Then I'm going to take my misting bottle and I am going to mist the rice paper and start applying it. And in the past, I never used to mist the rice paper, but once Roy started doing it with hers and then Connie tried it with her paper, it just works so much better. It actually helps the paper, just activates all the fibers in the rice paper and really meld that paper into your project. And because this is a drawer front and all these little individual drawers, I'm starting at the top and I'm really making sure that I'm getting it into every nook and cranny. Now the next step, and you want to make sure that your paper is completely dry. You don't want to do this when it's wet or the paper will tear. I am using my box cutter tool. You can use like an X-Acto knife, just something with a really sharp blade. And I am going in and I am slicing where each one of those drawers are, and I'm slicing around the entire drawer. After that, I'm taking my sandpaper and sanding away any of the excess along each of the drawers and around the entire perimeter of the project. Now it's time to paint the rest of it, and I am using Water Lily from DIY Paint. And this is the color that I chose and Connie used in her paper called Marshland Guardian. And I think that it turned out so perfect. I thought about, once I painted it, adding a bit of dark wax to it, but I really like how the water lily just makes that whole image pop off the front. I also like to paint the sides of the drawers. That way, I just feel like it really finishes your project off. The last thing I do is take Big Top and I seal the entire piece. Anytime you're using DIY paint, it can be reactivated with water, so you will need to seal it with some type of top coat, whether that be Big Top or some other poly. You can also use wax. Project 2, I was digging through the bins and I found this sign, and anytime I find a sign that has really good bones, I grab it. And I probably could have sold it as is, but I thought, no, I'm going to get a little bit more creative and rather just have it in my booth that says draw the line. We're going to add a bit of the decoupage paper from Royce this month, and this one I am calling Spring Tartan. And I love the colors that Royce chose because it complements her other paper so perfectly, which is the Old English countryside, and I'm going to show you that in another project. So I am starting off by covering the draw the line saying with white swan, and I am then going to come back and we're going to apply the spring tartan. And I think that these colors just scream spring, you guys. So I lay it out, I figure out exactly where I want the paper, and I'm using, again, my go-to decoupage medium, liquid patina. I'm using that starter strip, and this really does a couple things. It holds your paper in place, so it gives you a better control and helps you alleviate a lot of those wrinkles. Now this was the bonus item in this month's box, and it was a napkin, and I've already cut out a chunk of it, but I thought if I could have these 3 on the front of the sign, it would be so stinking cute. Now I am using a tip that I picked up from Lexi Grenzer. Flip your paper over. I've never tried this on a napkin, and napkins are very, very delicate, but I am painting the back side white swan. And what this does is it allows me to cut the image out and have the white on the back versus, typically I paint the white on the project. So it's going to really allow this bunny then to pop off of that spring tartan. And it worked. You just have to be a little bit more delicate when you're painting on the paint so you don't rip that napkin. I cut out all the images, and now it's time to apply them to the project. Again, I'm using liquid patina. I line up exactly where I want that first image to go, and I apply down just a nice even coat of the liquid patina, smooth out those rabbit ears, lift up that bottom, and then I smooth that out. And then I proceed to apply all the other pieces as well. Now the bunnies are on, and I decided to add a bit of floral, and so I'm using some transfers from IOD, and I'm applying some pink, some white, and I just think it really ties all of this and pulls it all together. Transfer set did come with quite a few different sayings, and I'm assuming they were all the names of the roses. So I had a bunch just sitting in there, and I thought it would look really cool if I just sporadically applied that to the rest of the sign, and that's exactly what I did. And I think that truly pulled the whole piece together. For project 3, sometimes projects do not have to be complicated. And the one thing I love about Connie's papers are that sometimes you can just use them as is. You don't even have to layer and come up with the idea yourself because she's already done that for you. This is Secrets of the Garden, and I'm just using a piece of scrap wood, applying a bit of white swan, cutting the paper down, using liquid patina, and just applying a nice even coat, misting that paper, and then just laying it down and applying it. It really is that simple, and this is the perfect shelf sitter. You can also just frame this up in a beautiful frame. I sand away the excess, and then I'm using the color in this month's box called Cake Batter, applying a nice even coat of cake batter to the rest of the board, sealing it, and this project is complete. For project 4, when I was at the Goodwill Bins, I saw this box or crate or whatever you want to call it, and I fell in love with it. I loved it. I thought this could be something so cool, and I love boxes like this, so I grabbed it, not even knowing it was actually a game called Washer Toss, but there were no washers inside. So for starters, what I'm doing is I want to paint the exterior with milk paint. And this month, the color that I chose for the box is called Completely Coral, and I felt like it just blended beautifully with the Old English countryside, which is Upcycles decoupage paper, which is exclusive to my maker's box. If you haven't used the milk paint before, it is so simple. 1 part milk paint to 1 part warm water, mix it up, let it sit for about 10 minutes, and when it gets to the consistency of a melted milkshake, then it's time to apply. So I stir it up one more time, and I just apply 1 even coat, let it dry very thoroughly, come back, and I apply a 2nd coat. And what I love about milk paint is the unpredictability of it. So you never know if it's gonna chip, if it's gonna crackle, and that's what I love about it. But it also has the most beautiful coverage, and if you don't like brush strokes, this is the type of paint that you want to use. Once the milk paint was dry, I grabbed White Swan from DIY Paint, and I applied just 1 even coat of White Swan to the tops of each side because I'm going to use Old English Countryside, which is a Upcycle decoupage paper, and I really want that paper to pop, so I start with a white base. I line up my paper and I figure out exactly where I want it, cut it to size, and then I'm using liquid patina, which is my go-to decoupage medium, and I'm just going to apply the starter strip. Because this was a little bit more like of a larger piece, just be very I guess a good way to put it, just be patient. I missed a little bit more here and there to really activate those fibers. I'm trying to get as few wrinkles as possible. Once I get that starter strip laid, it goes on like butter. Once both sides are dry, I just take my sandpaper, sand away the excess paper, and then it's time to seal the milk paint. and you can seal it with a top coat. I love using the Sweet Pickens oil waxes, and if you haven't used them before, they are amazing. They come in dark, clear, black, or white. I'm using dark, and what you do is you just apply it, let it absorb for about 10 minutes, and then once it's absorbed as much as it can be, then I come back with a piece of paper towel or an old rag and wipe away the excess, and I put this all together, and this project is complete, and now I have a beautiful decorative box. For project 5, I've had this sign. It was in my booth. I decided it was time to upcycle it. I had not sold it, and I was really kind of surprised. Now, this is the bonus piece in the maker's box, this napkin, and I was able to peel off the backing. A napkin does have several layers, so you want to peel off the excess layers. I am just using a chunk of this on the sign, so I cut out what I need, and I'm painting the back or the sign itself white swan from DIY, letting that dry, and then we're going to come back and we're going to apply the paper. But I want to show you, look at this crackle goodness that I got, and I really wanted that to somewhat show through, so I tried something different. I thought about doing something darker, but I didn't want it to be real dark, and so I decided to use the color that was found in the box called Cake Batter, and I created a wash. So I wanted that yellow to get like in the cracks, and it kind of did, and it created this really cool background effect, which I absolutely loved. So definitely try that, you guys. Water it down. The DIY paint, you can water down and almost create like a watercolor, and then apply it and see what type of look and feel you can get. So I also discovered by misting the napkin, it actually helped prevent a lot of wrinkles, but keep in mind, napkins are a little bit more delicate, so you have to be careful. But as you can see, I pick it up, move it around, and I don't tear it at all. But I just work with it, and I'm real patient, and I was able to smooth out almost all the wrinkles. Once it was dry, I went ahead and sanded away the excess napkin around the entire image, and then I decided I didn't like the brown, so I am using Acadia Pear from Fusion, and Fusion is a one-step paint, and so the top coat is built in, and I just apply one even coat around the entire perimeter, and then that really is how simple this project was. I felt like though it needed a little something, and I have a ton of transfers just lying around, so I decided to add some wording to this, and this is from, I can't even remember the name of the transfer from IOD, but there was just a chunk left over from last year. I let everybody use my excess transfers for different projects during my creative retreat, and this was just a chunk that was left over, so what I did is added a little bit of wording here and there over the entire image, and you guys, I love how this turned out. On a side note, just so you guys know, I have officially opened the doors for my second annual Vintage Soul Creative Retreat. Last year was amazing, and everybody requested for year 2, so head over to my website and grab your tickets today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think about all the projects. What was your favorite, and what did you guys think of the papers? Honestly, Connie hit it out of the park this month. I cannot wait to showcase what both Connie and Royce came up with for next month as well. You're gonna love it. Now, if you haven't done so yet, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. That way, every week when I do upload a video, you'll be notified. And if you haven't done so yet, I do have a podcast channel on YouTube as well. Every week I do interview a fellow creative or small business owner. That's every other week, I should say. And then I love talking about all things small business. So head on over to Rescued and Upcycled and give that page some love as well, you guys. I will have it linked in the description below, but I have moved all my videos over to Mondays at 5 o'clock. This is a bonus video for you, which is for the unboxing of the Maker's Box. All right, you guys, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you've loved it, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.